Okay, so hey guys, sorry I'm not at school. I'm at county. Hopefully Flynn will do well. So this will be posted on your Google Classroom, and hopefully at this point you found Google Classroom. If you didn't, ask a neighbor. Okay, so here's your task for today. So we need to do the Gwinnett Fair document, then we're going to do the practice for linear inequality graphing. You're going to go to Desmos, and then you're going to review for Unit 2 test. Okay, so that's all going to happen today. We're going to start off with the task. So you should look at the Gwinnett Fair task. I'm going to have a couple of slides to kind of walk you through it, and you can kind of follow along. Okay, so which would you rather ride? Ferris wheel or this little swingy thing? I personally like the Ferris wheel. I don't like these things. They make me sick. But each person likes their own thing. So we're going to talk about linear inequality graphically and writing linear inequalities to help determine the possible number of rides and games that can be bought at the Gwinnett Fair with a $50 budget. Okay, so Gwinnett Fair. Hopefully you've been there before. If you haven't, maybe go. You and your friends decide to meet at the fair this weekend. You've earned $50 from math tutoring available to spend. Each ride costs $3. So each ride costs $3, and each game costs $2. How many rides can you ride, and how many games can you play? Okay, so that's our thought. Okay, so on your paper, we're going to fill in are possible combinations from above based on whether they will save you money or that you will spend exactly $50. So we got to spend less than $50. So the number of rides versus the number of games, and then the total money that was spent. So if we did 0 number of games, how many rides could we have in order to spend less than $50? Well, I could spend 16 rides because each one costs $3, and then the games cost $2. So this would be $0 for the number of games because we have 0 number of games, and then we would have 48 total dollars being spent. Okay, what about 0, 24? Well, 2 times 24 would give us $48. Okay, so we're trying to figure out the possible number of combinations. Now, there's a ton. Okay, so go ahead and take a couple minutes, try to fill in your little chart, and then we'll go from there. I would also suggest pausing this so that you can kind of work through it and then come back. Okay, so hopefully you took a moment to fill in your chart. I would have gotten 0 and 25 for one, 2 and 22 for the other. 4, 19, 6 and 16 would also get you exactly 50. Okay, and then other possible ones, 8 and 13, 10 and 10, 12 and 7. Okay, so hopefully you filled that in on your paper. Now, using that, I want you to actually graph these ordered pairs and graph these points on the coordinate plane. Okay, use different colors, different shapes to show which combination represents each different table. So if you want to do exactly $50, I would suggest using like a little X. If you want to do less than $50, I would do like a dot. Okay, so go ahead and take a moment and plot those points. So again, those points could be 8, 13. 8, 13 is exactly $50. So I would put an X there. 10, 10 is exactly $50. I would put an X there. I would fill that out. I'm going to post on the screen in just a second what that solution should look like. And then I want you to think about a general rule that you could be used to represent all possible combinations for spending. So I kind of want you to think about that one. So go ahead and pause the video, complete the graph, and then think about how you could create a rule. Okay, so how did you write a rule to represent all possible combinations of rides and games that would stay within a $50 budget? So here is what my graph actually would look like. And this is the $50. The reason why it's a solid line is because we could spend exactly $50. We could not spend more than $50. And that's what we're saying right here. This solid line means that the inequality is going to be or equal to. The shaded region is all possible solutions. So even though you put on your paper like those dots still work. We're still within the region of $50. However, you could still have money left over. And the unshaded region represents all the points that don't make the inequality true. So here would be my equation. We would have $3 for the rides, $2 for the cost of the games, and then total money that we could potentially spend. Okay. So we're actually going to skip this little card sort. You should have finished your task at that point. Okay, so should be caught up on that. We want to make sure that we get a little bit of practice. So what I'd like for you to do is find the right worksheets. I don't think I copied it on here. Okay, there it is. Okay, so this document right here, I want you to work on sketching the graph of each linear inequality. Okay, now you can check yourself on this by plugging this straight into Desmos. Okay, so you can type this into Desmos. You can't copy and paste, but you can type it in. So we've got our equation, y is greater than or equal to -5/2 x minus 5. So first of all, you should be able to graph this at this point without having to do this, but check your work, you can go into Desmos. So if I were to graph this by hand first, I would go down to -5 because it's my y-intercept. And then I would go down 5 over 2. Well, that will be off my graph. So I'm going to go in the opposite direction. I'm going to go up 5 and over 2. And then draw a dot. And I'm going to go up 5 and then over 2. And this is going to be a solid line. And we learned yesterday that if it's greater than, then we're going to shade above. Okay, so remember, if it's greater than, we go above. If it's less than, we go below. Okay, and again, I'm going to check this using Desmos. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to say y is greater than or equal to -5/2 x minus 5. Oop. Minus 5. And look at that. That's exactly what we got. Now, they didn't draw like the straight lines. They shaded it in completely. Okay. All right. So you're completing this worksheet just to get a little bit of practice. Okay. Okay. So once you have finished that, that's the one that's going to be turned into the box. I know this is just one inequality, so we don't have two until this one. This one should have 2 lines on it. The first one should only have 1. So make sure that you shade it. Please don't just plug it into Desmos, because remember, on January 22nd, you're going to have to do this by hand. So if you don't know how to do it by hand, it's a problem. Just also a reminder, on number 4 and like number 3, you've got to have these in y equals mx plus b form. So what I mean by that is you got to move the 2x to the other side. So for instance, we've got 2x plus 3y is less than 12. So we're going to move 2x to the other side. And so that's going to give us 3y is less than -2x plus 12. Now we have to divide by 3 because we got to get that y by itself. So y is less than -2/3 x. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And now we can graph it. For this one, it's a little tricky because we go with a negative y. So if we move the x to the other side, we get -y is greater than -x plus 4. And then we're going to divide by a -1. Funky thing that happens with inequalities. When we divide by a negative number, it flips the inequality. And so that means that we're going to have x minus 4. So y is less than x minus 4. So notice how I flipped that because this guy was negative. Okay. All right, so you're going to finish graphing those and you're going to turn this one in. You're going to turn in this one into the basket. Okay. Please make sure that your name and your class period are on it. Don't leave me in a mess. Okay, so there's that. Now the next thing, you're going to go to Desmos. Okay, on your timeline, it should be right here. If it's not, let me know. But go ahead and go onto that timeline. You can click on here and you're going to complete slides 1 through 10. Okay, so you're going to log in with your Google and you're going to complete slides 1 through 10. Okay, let's go back to the stream. There. No. I apologize. There we go. Now, the last thing is you're going to practice the contextual linear inequality. Okay. So what you're going to do with that is that's the word problem document. This is really good work for like trying to prepare for your test. So basically, you've got these constraints. You're going to write the inequality, and then you're going to graph the inequality. This is going to be a little bit of a challenge. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. So let's kind of talk through this one. Okay. So my neighbor is worried about the work needed to maintain a grass lawn in the lower beds. So she is looking at some low maintenance materials to use in her yard. She's considering artificial turf, which costs $15 per square foot to install, and gravel, which costs $3 per square foot. She may use a combination of the two materials in different parts of the yard. Her budget is $3,000. She needs my help to figure out how much artificial turf and gravel she can afford. To help pay for her new outdoor renovation, my neighbor sells jewelry at a Saturday market. She makes $9 profit on each necklace. And we'll come back to that one because I think that's on the back page of your paper. So on the front, we got this guy. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say that turf is going to be X. So X is turf. And Y is going to be gravel. Now, how much money does it cost to do turf? 15 per square foot to do turf. And then 3Y to do gravel. And her budget is $3,000. That means that she can spend up to $3,000. So notice how I wrote this inequality. I said 15 times whatever item we're looking at, and then 3 times the item that we're looking at, and it's less than $3,000 because we don't want to spend more than $3,000. Now on your paper, you're going to graph this. Okay. On your paper, you're going to graph this. Back to no. Love so many tabs. So much fun. Okay, there we go. All right. So on your paper, you're going to graph the inequality and then choose 2 ordered pairs that represent the solutions and 1 ordered pair that's not a solution. On the back, you should have these problems. Okay, so you'll take a look at that. You'll write the equation, graph it, and then tell me the answers to these questions. Okay, so this document will be turned in. And this document will be for homework if you don't finish. Okay, there'll be one other item, and it's going to be your review guide. It's going to be your review guide. So on your review guide, you're going to want to make sure that you hang on to it because your test is on January 23rd. Okay, so again, your test is on January 23rd. Okay, so this video is for you to be able to follow along / review what you need to get done. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me on Friday. If you email me, I'm probably not going to get to it before Friday. Okay, I'm just going to let you know. I'm at a swim meet from 8 o'clock in the morning until 9 p.m. Okay, so probably won't get to the email. However, if you save it for Friday, then we can talk about it. Okay, but I want you to try to get as much as you can done. Do not give the sub any kind of like grief. Don't cause problems. Remember, you should only go to the bathroom if you have the bathroom pass. So if one person is out already, you can't go to the bathroom. Okay, love you guys, and I will see you on Friday.